I don't care if you've been vaping for 6 months or 6 years, this mod is for everybody. With that said, fuck the small talk, let's go and get up close and personal with the Voopoo Drag 3.
Cold in the ice, refrigerator, never really gone, I'm back, Terminator. Gotta explain, translator, jumps off the game like a defibrillator. I'm Thesis, just in case you didn't know. I'm going check the speakers, just in case you didn't know. I'm going check the speakers, just in case you didn't know.
Welcome to the Up Close and Personal section with your boy Thesis. Now real quick, today we've got ourselves the Drag 3 by Voopoo with the Gene Fan 2.0 chip. With that said, I want to give a giant shout out to the sponsor of this episode, and that is straight up the NinjaMilitia. Without y'all, I would not be able to purchase all these products for review. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, let's talk about what you get inside the box. Mod, manual, USB-C cord, 2.0 compatible, by the way. 2-amp charging is expected nowadays, especially running a USB-C. You also get 2 coils, the 0.2 ohm as well as the 0.15 ohm, which is far superior than the 0.2 ohm. The 0.2 ohm coil is more of a chain link fence, while the other coil is much more like a honeycomb. So the tank itself is 26.5 millimeters wide, tapers down to about 23-ish, roughly thereabouts, millimeters. Now the mod itself is 25 millimeters across, which is about average for a mod of a C chassis or a C frame like this. Now the tank itself has a gold-plated 510 pin. It is fixed position, held in by 4 rare earth magnets, 1, 2, 3, and I believe that's a 4th one there. If not, either way, it's extremely strong. Let's go and take a listen to that click. That is satisfactory as fuck. Now, I understand why they went with this design in particular, because they want it to be as cross-compatible as possible with all their Voopoo products, with the Drag X, the Drag X Plus, etc. I'm just not a fan of it. On top of that, the mesh coils are not great. They're much better than the original Drag X PMP coils, in my opinion, especially with a bigger diameter. But aside from that, it's kind of like saying a 94 Honda Civic is better than like a 93 Geo Metro. Kinda, but not really. With that said, it does hold a decent amount of liquid in terms of capacity. You pop this off like that, and the way you fill it is this grommet. Oh, I can't tell you how much I'm starting to hate grommets in terms of how messy they are. So you take that grommet off, you fill her up, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, no threads for you to worry about being cross-threaded or being chunky or being crunchy or anything along those lines. Pop this in like that and throw it on the mod and it's done. With that said, the tank is out of the way. Let's talk about the star of the show. So, I want to just mention that I have been a fair weather Voopoo fan for years. When they're good, they are amazing. But when Voopoo fucks up, they do it royally. They're a lot like Smock in that respect, except for Voopoo to me is kind of like Smock with a tuxedo. But once in a great while, Voopoo hits it out of the park. And I think for the price, this is essentially what that is. I've had limited experience with it, but in my opinion, this is one of the best Voopoo products they've come out with. So grab a set of batteries, open up the door just like this, you slide it out, and it pops open. There's not much in the way of holding this battery door here, which is going to be one of the downsides. Take a look at this. Take a look at this kind of poor hinge it's got. This is definitely one of the cons right here. That is going to be a problem in the future. That spring is touching against that connection, and as that's touching, that's going to eventually bend. Watch that spring hit, and then it clicks open. Don't like that. You have to actually pull, and then it'll kind of prevent that wear and tear over time. So as long as you're careful with some of those things, you shouldn't have a problem. No indicators on either side, and you do have a little slit that's cut between them. Something I'm not a fan of. I do prefer to keep my batteries as compartmentalized as possible, but in this situation, it shouldn't be a problem as long as you mind your wraps on the batteries. Pop this down, slide her in, and once it's on, it feels very secure. Again, something I'm very picky about. I want to make sure my battery door doesn't open on accident. Turn it around, and you got yourself a beautiful screen. Again, something I'm so picky about. I'm very particular on how I like a screen to look. So first, we're in the R mode. That's basically where you have complete control of the wattage. So as soon as you put a tank on, regardless of what the resistance is, regardless of what the recommended wattage is, it's going to basically stay right where you put it. If I put it at 80 watts, it's going to be at 80 watts. Let's take a hit. Yeah, that 0.15 ohm coil hits about as good as a Voopoo coil can hit. Compared to the 0.2 ohm and compared to the PNP coils, this 0.15 ohm mesh coil is pretty fantastic in terms of their whole lineup. Let's just go and talk about some of the menu settings. This out of the box is by far and away one of the simplest, easiest devices to use, and it's extremely intuitive. 1, 2, 3, and that's going to pop us into this smart mode, and that's going to basically self-adjust to whatever the wattage should be on these coils without burning it. So in other words, the maximum wattage is not 177 watts. The maximum wattage is what the maximum recommended is for the coil. So 80 watts being the maximum for this coil, that's what it's going to stick to. Decent. Now with that aside, this 0.15 ohm coil is giving me some, not dry hits, but there's definitely some afterburn. Take a listen. Not something I would want over a long-term use. That's definitely going to cause some carbon buildup. With that said, the way you get out of that smart mode is 1, 2, 3. And once you hit that 80 watts, it goes into that RBA mode, and that way you can hit it in super mode. In other words, you have complete control of the coil, complete control of the wattage up to 177 watts. Why Voopoo sticks to these bizarre fucking wattage maximums? I don't know. 170, why not just make it 200? Or 150? Why has it got to be 177? 90 watts with that 0.15 ohm coil. There's not quite enough surface area to keep it from having that afterburn, but the flavor's there. Now, they claim that it has a faster response speed in terms of the fire button. Once you hit that super mode, I can discern zero difference. It's roughly the same size as any given Lost Vape, right? Like, look at this. But it feels so much smaller and it feels so much lighter that this is where I started to fall in love with this device. 9 times out of 10, I love a nice, hefty, heavy device. Unless it feels chunky. And there's a difference between heft and chunky. This here feels pretty high quality, but it's chunky, okay? This feels like if a Lost Vape product went on a diet. It just feels extremely lightweight. Let's just go ahead and make a comparison between this and the old Therion over here. And I'm not sure what the difference is going to be, but I guarantee you it's pretty significant. 194 grams, give or take. I'm going to guess this is going to be closer to 120, 130. 119.4. That's a big difference when you're walking around. I think this is where Voopoo really starts to take the cake in terms of more expensive devices. But with that said, you're going to have to ignore things like this. Pull it up, out, and then push it back. You're going to feel a click, and that's that contact touching the rest of that panel there. Let's go and talk about one of the downsides about the mod. Plain and simple, I like a flat, flush 510. For whatever reason, the engineers and the designers at Voopoo decided to go with a beveled or bezeled 510, either that or it's simply not seated correctly. Now, I've tried to torque these down a little bit more, and to tell you the truth, I'm scared to go any further because I don't want, yeah, there we go. This one's definitely loose. It's just one of those things, man. Quality control, quality control, quality control. This side is in deeper and more flush with the body than the left side. If you take a look there, you can see it. Looking at pictures of the device online, it seems like they all have a little bit of a flush issue. I'm not sure if it's on purpose or not, but I don't like it. I don't like to put on a device, whether it be an RDA, RDTA tank, and I don't like to have any gaps at the bottom. So let's go and pop on one of the greatest single coil devices of all time. That's the Barrage. And you can clearly see the gap on this side, whereas the other side, it's not quite as prevalent. Something that's inconsistent, it's something to keep in mind. Especially for the price, you know, for 50 bucks, it's something that's forgivable. If this was a $75, $80 device, I'd be telling you to save your money. Simple as that. So again, a couple of things with the Gene chip. You can download the firmware to use temperature control. I hope that they're going to have an update for the locking mechanism. I want to have an update where I can turn my screen completely off and lock the adjustment keys while keeping the fire button on. I can't figure out a way how to do that stock out of the box, so if there is a firmware update, that'd be phenomenal. With that said, a couple of key features here, up and down for the adjustment buttons, and that's going to show you a different theme. We're in iron mode. Let's go ahead and go to core. That's going to turn it basically to landscape, essentially. It looks nice, but I don't like the fact that I have to turn it sideways. Beautiful, beautiful screen, by the way. By far and away, one of my favorite screens on any C-chassis style device. The buttons on it are spongy yet clicky. They're that beautiful, happy medium that I like to feel on any given device. With that said, the rest of the device feels excellent. A couple of things I did that, you know, just kind of throws me off is this fake stitching. Like, to me, if you're going to put fake stitching, you may as well just not put it there at all. You feel me? Bitch, it's okay, Smother Truckers. Now, with that being said, fuck the small talk. Let's go and get back to regular review, son. My final summation is this. The Voopoo Drag 3 is the best dual 18650 device that Voopoo has ever come out with. This one takes what I think is a classy, beautiful design. They basically improved a long-standing C-chassis design in just a couple of small but meaningful ways. One, weight. Any Lost Vape product, I love Lost Vape mods. 9 out of 10 times, Lost Vape is like one of my go-to mid to high-end range devices that if I'm going to carry something that I want to feel nice about, but at the same time I know it's going to be durable and extremely reliable, that's what I'm going to go with. But with that said, Voopoo's also had a pretty amazing run with the Gene chip. Like, the Gene chip and the Gene series has been nothing but reliable for the past 3-4 years. And the fact that they took the Gene chip, made it new by basically stripping it of any complications, i.e. temperature control, has been what I think is a success. The screen in and of itself is gorgeous. The weight difference between this and any other C-chassis design is mind-blowing. 60 grams, 50 to 60 gram difference. You notice that when it's in your pocket, with batteries or without batteries. Either way, the ergonomics of a device this size and this weight almost can't be beat. It's pretty difficult. Like, I'm thinking of other mods right now in the back of my head. Like, here's a... This one has been sitting here just like this. This is, technically speaking, a very similar shape as this. In fact, you would think that this is going to be more ergonomic because it's got rounded edges. In reality, I would rather hold this one all day long. It's a little bit smaller. It's easier to put in and out of the pocket. And let's just be honest, it's 50 bucks. Like if you drop a Vicious Santa, Asmodus, a Lost Vape, you're out a few $100 at least. This, you're out 50 bucks. You can get 3 of these and have 2 backups for any given Lost Vape. By the way, not that that's a bad thing on Lost Vape. Lost Vape just makes a superior product in terms of quality and materials. This is probably a zinc, maybe aluminum, and I'm talking like maybe 40 to 50% of it. Half, if not most of this device is probably plastic. Would I say this is going to outlast any of the previous devices I just mentioned? That's a different story. The battery door by itself pisses me off. I don't care if a product is 40 bucks, 50 bucks, or 500 bucks. You need to take major features of every device and virtually perfect it. Maybe it's just mine. I don't understand why this is catching right there. Listen to this. That right there makes me cringe. I know eventually that's going to wear out. Whether it's going to be a month from now or a year from now, your guess is as good as mine. That battery door is just one of the issues. The biggest issue for me is there's no locking mechanism or no locking feature where I can keep the fire button unlocked and just lock the adjustment keys. B, I don't want my screen on ever. On my Jaguar Dual, I turn my screen off and I lock the adjustment keys. That's it. I want to keep all that shit locked and my screen off because I don't want to have to look at this at 2 o'clock in the morning when I wake up. I want my screen to stay off always. And the efficiency of these chips have not changed much. I've already run through a set of batteries with the tank that it comes with. And in terms of battery life at 75, 85 watts, I was getting 8 hours, 7, 8 hours. That is phenomenal. Voopoo, you're definitely doing something right. Now, overall, the biggest con for me, I don't like 510s that are not sitting flush with the deck. That in and of itself would almost make me not want to buy it if it wasn't for the price. I can get over the 510 deck not being perfectly flush at 50 bucks. Bitch, it's okay, Smooth the Truck is now on Thesis patented finger compatibility scale. I'm gonna give this a 6.5 with the tank. As a whole kit, I think the tank actually brings it down a couple notches. I'm not a fan of their coils in general. I'm not a fan of the ones that it comes with. However, in terms of their entire selection, that 0.15 ohm coil is definitely at the top. If you do purchase just the device by itself as a standalone product, I'm going to give that a solid 7.5. It might even creep up to an 8 if you can get it for under 50 bucks. All right, my Ninja Kitties. So if you found this video informative and or entertaining, hit me up on patreon.com/ThesisHimself. That's the best way to support this channel, this content, and of course, content on TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram. Bitch, it's okay, Smooth the Truckers. Now, with that being said, I want to tell you that I appreciate you for vaping with Thesis. It is your boy Thesis. I'm out. Welcome to Vaping with Thesis. It is your boy Hisakalanisakapa. Do the head shake. Welcome to Vaping with Thesis. I am Nas, and today we've got ourselves a Voopoo Drag 3. Upside down. There it goes. Bam. Voopoo Drag 3. Bitches. Now I know some people are going to argue with that. I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Okay? Inikin fanboy. What's going on, motherfucker? I don't really need an intro. We can just get into it. Inikin. With that being said, fuck the small talk. Let's go and get up close. Let's. Ooh, fucking tech decks. What's going on, Thesis? My name is Vape. What the fuck was that? Welcome to Vaping with Thesis. I am Nas, and today we've got ourselves the Inikin Sensus. Adorable. It's an and delve into the Inikin Sensus. With that said, fuck the tall smock. Fuck this.